Okay.
Aloha.
Aloha. We're back. I can hear him. He can hear me. You can hear us both, right? Please tell me that's correct. It looks good, but looks can be deceiving. Look at me. So
I just need to defend my honor because everybody in the chat was blaming me. No. I won't stand for that. We are basically doing two producers on one show, but I send all of my stuff to James, who then sends it to you. Like, I can't send my audio and James send his audio to the broadcast at the same time from different sources. It does have to be funneled through one source. So.
Yep, it's my fault. Like I said, everybody always blames the Asian guy. You know how these freaking white supremacists are.
Correctly, I might add. All right. So where were we, James? We were hammering. We were doing a hammering. Thanks everyone for joining us. Thanks for coming back. We'll give everyone a minute or two to get back in here. I just thought this was funny. Just while you were messing around with the sound, I just played this. Let's give people just another little minute of Jimmy Dore here. So give them a chance to come back in.
So he says these videos get millions of views on YouTube, Steven Crowder's videos. He goes, so he's making fun of him, and he says, and every time one gets posted, I wake up to a wall of homophobic, racist abuse on Instagram and Twitter. Well, join the fucking club, man. I don't read my mentions anymore on Twitter. How about that? Because it's been one motherfucker from Columbia School of Journalism smearing me, and another motherfucker from Mother Jones smearing me, and another. They're doing it constantly, and that's why I barely read my mentions on Twitter, and I don't go on Instagram. I don't even know how to work it, and I stopped going on Facebook. I don't, for the same reason. It's horrible, right? And so what? Okay, so, and then he goes, last year I got doxxed and it scared the fuck out of me. Getting doxxed is scary and it does suck. That has nothing to do with YouTube, right? Somebody got a hold of his shit and they fucking went, that's horrible. Have you ever had it happen? Being doxxed is scary, and it's happened to me, but it's horrible. But that has anything to do with YouTube, and he kind of puts it in there as if it does. It really doesn't. And then he goes, these videos make me a target of ridiculous harassment and it makes my life sort of miserable. Join the club. I know what that feels like. All
right, we're back. Everyone back. Welcome back. Let's continue on with the hammering.
To say the president is mentally unwell, unfit. Take a look at his latest tweets from today, saying the president should resign and
George
seek
Conway,
psychological treatment. I commented that the tweets are astonishing, coming from the husband of a top White House official. And Conway wrote back and said, what's astonishing is the media's and the nation's utter failure to confront the fact that we have a psychologically unwell and unfit president. How do you view this as someone who covers the Trump White House every day?
Do you think George Conway is classified to speak on the mental disposition of the president, James? I mean, he is having, in theory, regular sex with Kellyanne Conway. So isn't that like a diploma on the wall? Isn't it? By the way, Conway, I just want to re-extend my invitation. Kelly, call me. Call me.
George Conway is not qualified to give psychological advice about George Conway.
Surely, Kellyanne, you can do better. I'm not saying that I'm better, but I'll be fun until you find better. Put it that way.
These questions are even out there at all.
Well, I get asked this question from time to time. I tell folks, Brian, I'm not a psychiatrist, so I can't.
Brian, I get asked this question from time to time, and I tell folks, Brian, I'm not a psychiatrist.
But he's not even a Holiday Inn Express last night.
He's not even a reporter, James. He's not even a reporter. Look at that smile, too. Look at that grin.
Assess the president's mental state, but I will tell you my sense of it is, covering him for a pretty long period of time now, is that he's more crazy like a fox.
Crazy like a fox, James. Is that a compliment from Jim?
It actually is a compliment, but I have to say that even though they didn't word it this way, there was a great comment in the chat that just said that Kellyanne pegs George Conway. Just to be.
Well, he's a very lucky man then.
And, for example, I talk about in the book, Steve Bannon explains in an interview that I had with him that, what Trump tries to do is really control the narrative by saying sensational things that sound wild and nutty sometimes. And he does this because he knows it dominates the news cycle. And so
the irony. Imagine being Jim Acosta. It's like, have you ever heard of something called the Cassandra complex, James?
Probably, but not by that term. So go for it.
Okay. What the Cassandra complex is, it goes back to the story of the Trojan horse. And there was one woman who knew that the enemy was hiding in this Trojan horse, and nobody listened to her. In fact, they threw her in a prison and said that she was crazy for suggesting that the Trojan horse was being used to destroy Troy. That's called the Cassandra complex, is being aware of what's going to happen in the future, but being powerless to stop it. So imagine Jim Acosta now struggling with his own Cassandra complex live here on Reliable Sources. He says the president is crazy like a fox, and he knows that the president puts out sensational things in order to control the narrative to get the media to speak about it, whilst simultaneously he is on a segment with Brian Stelter discussing whether or not the president is insane for the things that he says.
By the way, just for clarity's sake, we're making fun of it because it's freaking hilarious. But just to be clear, so that you can learn something, again, I've been talking about it. I'm going to keep talking about it all weekend. You're watching Above and Below Technique right now. That's what they're doing. Just keep in mind, that's what's happening here. So I think it's very fascinating.
So that makes.
I think it's very fascinating what they're doing.
Well, go over it again for those who missed it. The Above and Below Technique. We're not talking about overs and unders here, are we? We're not talking about playing dice in the streets, are we?
No.
What are we talking about?
So the Above and Below Technique is where basically you have politicians, right? And they want to sell something, whatever that is, a position on something. So what they do is they call up someone like a small group that works for them, with them, like Media Matters. And they get Media Matters to go out and they protest this thing, whatever this thing is, whatever that position is. And it stirs up things, right? And then they get the media to focus on that thing, whatever that thing is. And the media does all those tight shots and shows you the American people are pissed off about X. XYZ has got to happen. And then the politicians in charge that are actually in power go back and say, hey, look, it's not our fault. The American people are demanding this. What you're seeing is that exact thing in play right here. You have the media, their lackeys, selling to the American people. They're just talking about it. They're just saying, hey, we're not psychiatrists, but everybody around him saying the fucking guy's crazy. So that then what's going to happen is that's going to spark out. Look at all the people protesting it. All the Media Matters people. Look at this protest saying the president must be removed because he's fucking insane. And then the politicians are going to come back and they're going to say, hey, we got to start talking about the 25th Amendment. The guy's clearly insane. Look, all of this reporting showing his inconsistencies in his tweets, how he's deranged, how he's lunatical, like how he completely just blackmailed Mexico. This is what they're doing. It's just a version of the strategy of the Above and Below Technique. They hit you in the psyche from both sides. They sell their position on things to you. Yeah, it's exactly like a false flag. That's what it is. And it's called the Above and Below Technique. It's because it looks organic, but it's not. There's absolutely no organic nature to it. It is a contrived operation from start to finish.
It's also very frustrating for people like Jim Acosta and Brian Stelter, James, because they are angry that the president is controlling the narrative. So once again, a billionaire is taking our job. Fucking capitalists.
Yep.
That's our job. We're supposed to be controlling the narrative, not him.
Makes it a priority for us in the news business to talk about him nonstop.
Yes.
And he loves that, and he capitalizes that.
Well, about that, do you have any regret?
By the way, if you'd like to pick up my book, The Enemy of the People, you can get it at any good bookstore or on Amazon.
Do you have any regrets? You said some White House aides. Do you have any regrets?
See, Jim Acosta not mentioning the fact that he is personally profiting off the president as well, right? He is personally profiting off this skirmish with the president, but he doesn't make any mention of that. No, he's the broke down choir boy, James. He's the innocent victim here. He is the innocent party. This is more like professional wrestling than it is corporate news, right? The stories are manufactured. The storylines are manufactured, and Jim Acosta is playing the heel, the role of the heel. You know, the people love to hate him. And by the way, if you want to pick up Jim Acosta's book, you can do so by logging into Amazon and just putting in Jim Acosta.
Some White House aides. Do you have any regrets?
Do I have any regrets? You know, I wish at times that the press had been a bit more in solidarity with one another.
What?
And
I wish the press was uniform across the board. I wish everybody in the press would agree more often. Because that's what a free press is, James. Everybody in lockstep, in uniformity. like a metronome. Ting, 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 racist, Nazi, bigot, KKK, no walls, no USA Today. That's what we want. That's what we want. I mean, James, I've been covering the president for a long time, and I'm not a psychiatrist by any stretch of the imagination. But what I will tell you is I have a number of regrets. And one of those regrets is that, damn it, we couldn't get everybody in the corporate press to agree what a horrible president this guy is more. That's really the problem here. If only we had a wall of opposition to this president, then maybe people would no longer consider us to be the enemy of the people.
Let me add on real quick so that to be even more clear, because you hit on the nail right here, is that they're pissed off that Donald Trump has stolen the march. And to be very clear with you, so that those of you that don't understand what your role is, Donald Trump is using the above and below technique as well. He's just using it for our side. That's what his Twitter feed is. He's activating us, you, by giving you the truth, by giving you the information. He's arming you with the ability to speak loudly for the president's points of view so that the president can then turn around and say, hey, Congress, it's not me. It's my people. My people say seal the border. What you going to do now, fucksticks? You see, it's the same technique used for our side. So don't be misunderstanding. That's why we tell you all the time, watch the president's timeline. Listen to what he's saying and how he's saying it, because it's all done for effect to get us the outcomes we want. And that's what's pissed off CNN and the media.
And standing up to this White House and saying, listen, the president can't call us the enemy of the people. We're not going to go along with that. Right. And I think we've missed some opportunities here and there to challenge that. I will say one of the things that I'm most grateful for during this experience is how just about every news organization in Washington and here in New York stood behind us here at CNN when they took away my press pass. Yeah, that was very
James, I'm just really happy that every journalist in DC and New York is on my side. And then thousands of people watching this were like, I fucking knew it. I knew they were all in the same boat together. Well done, Jim.
Important First Amendment case, and I talk about it in the book. Had the Trump administration won that case.
He thinks being allocated a press pass is a First Amendment issue.
I know. Dude, hey, I'm going to tell you even something worse, crazier. Before the election, there were fucking idiots on my timeline that were literally saying the First Amendment grants them the right of access to the president. I said, have you read the First Amendment? What in the fuck are you talking about? There is nothing in there that grants anyone any special privileges, any special access. They literally think, leftists think, that somehow journalists are a separate class of American citizens with special rights than normal Americans to ask questions, to have access, that they can go into any sensitive place they want, and they can get access to any documents they want. There are literal idiots out there that think that's true.
Well, I mean, Jim, you don't need a press pass. You can just go on Twitter because, remember, it's illegal for the president to block people on Twitter now, right? So you could just go on Twitter and ask your questions with everybody else.
Brian, it would have sent shockwaves to our industry. It would have put a real chilling effect on the First Amendment in this country.
He thinks he's that important. He thinks he is that loved and that important.
And people might say, oh, you're just puffing yourself up. You're higher on your own fumes. No, the Trump administration.
You're just puffing yourself up. No. That's not the case at all. By the way, pick up my book on Amazon, Enemy of the People.
His own lawyers went into the courtroom and said that the president of the United States can throw out whoever he wants out of the White House. And we just couldn't have a situation like that. And so I was really grateful. You talk about regrets. One of the things I'm most grateful for is that almost our entire industry stood behind us during that time. And had they not, I think it could have worked out a different way. Yeah. And so I think it hasn't been perfect. We're all grappling with how do we cover this president. But my sense of it is that we have to stand for the truth. We're not just here to report the
Wait, he's about to get into something. We're not just here. He said we have to stand for truth, but then he said we're not just here to report the news. Hello.
We're all grappling with how do we cover this president, but my sense of it is that we have to stand for the truth. We're not just here to report the news. We're here also to defend the truth. And when you have a president who has...
Really? James, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Jim a reporter?
Yeah,
in name.
Supposedly, in name only, but yeah.
That's his job title. That's his job title, reporter. Are you aware of any time in the past where Jim might have tacked onto his tax return or something like that, reporter/defender of the truth? Are you aware of that? Like some kind of superhero?
I was just going to say, doesn't
Judge
he wear
Dredd?
like a Superman undies underneath his suit?
I think he does.
I think he does. Open. I am the defender of truth. See the big T?
The defender of truth. No, Jim, it's not your job to defend it. It's literally your job. If your job is a reporter, then it is your job to report the news. Like I don't defender of the truth. You are not Aristotle over here. You know what I mean? This isn't some great philosophical crusade that you're engaged in. Your job is to report, and report you shall. And anything above and beyond the reporting of the news, you are going outside your realm of quote unquote expertise at that point. You are then, you are mission creep. Creeps on a mission, James. Mission creep and creeps on a mission.
Made 10,000 false or misleading statements since the beginning of his administration.
Right.
That makes us fact checkers in real time. It puts us in a position where, unlike the Republicans who controlled the government for 2 years, sort of makes the fourth estate, the press, really the check on a presidency that sometimes goes outside the bounds of normal presidential behavior.
Sometimes goes outside the bounds of normal presidential behavior. Yes, and let's speak about normal behavior, James, such as interviewing the person who attempted to assassinate the president and telling him what a hero he is, for example. How about Jim Acosta screaming questions from the back of the room in order to get a gotcha moment to go viral on the CNN timeline on Twitter? These are all very, very normal things. How about sitting down and discussing whether or not the president is criminally insane and passing that off as defending the truth? Defending the truth. So we are so concerned with a president sometimes stepping outside of the bounds of normal behavior that here on CNN, we will never step inside the bounds of normal behavior because we're grappling with this crazy maniacal president. And if you don't believe me, believe the guy who's having sex with Kellyanne Conway. There's your hammering, James.
Stop the hammering.
Folks, that's all the time we got for you on this shit show of a night. I think there's
through it in the end.
Yeah, there's 3 episodes that we have to link together now. We got all kinds of chaos happening, but hey, at least we got through a show. Oh my Lord, take me out of here tonight. For Boogie Bumper, for me, for all of us, we love you guys. Thanks for being here. If you want to follow him, you can follow him at Boogie Bumper. If you want to follow me, you can follow me at Real Person PLTCS. If you want to follow us, you can follow us at TAV Show. Take care, guys, and we'll see you next week, maybe.
Victory is not winning for our party. Victory is winning for our country. This year, America will recognize 2 important anniversaries that show us the majesty of America's mission and the power of American pride. In June, we mark 75 years since the start of what General Dwight D. Eisenhower called the Great Crusade, the Allied liberation of Europe in World War II. On D-Day, June 6, 1944, 15,000 young American men jumped from the sky and 60,000 more stormed in from the sea to save our civilization from tyranny. Here with us tonight are three of those incredible heroes. Private First Class Joseph Riley, Staff Sergeant Irving Locker, and Sergeant Herman Zaitchik.